I have 2 daughters, I have a house. What should I do? What is the best I can do now? The answer to this question really depends on what you're specifically trying to achieve. So let's assume here that your 2 daughters are adults and they both have their own home, so they're not living with you currently, and your goal is inheritance. You want your 2 daughters to be able to inherit your home, or if the home is sold, to be able to split the proceeds of the home. So if that's the goal and you're in Florida, which is where I practice, you have a couple of options. One, you can take advantage of Florida's Ladybird deed, enhanced life estate deed, or Ladybird deed, which Florida is one of 5 states that permits this very magical and special type of deed where you can list a beneficiary on your real property, much like you can list a TOD, transfer on death, or POD, payable on death person in your account. It operates very much the same way, where you remain the owner of the property during your lifetime, so it's no immediate transfer there. You don't have to give up any rights in the property. You can do whatever you want with the property as far as mortgaging it, selling it, leasing it. You don't need them to join in or consent. But if you keep this property for your whole life, and then whenever you do pass away, if you have them listed on the deed, the Ladybird deed, as your remainder men, which is the beneficiaries on the deed, then it becomes theirs upon your passing. And this type of deed allows you to set it up so you could give them specific percentages of ownership. It could be 50-50, but it doesn't have to be. Or what we see a lot here is you could make them joint tenants with rights of survivorship as the beneficiaries. And the purpose in doing this would be that if one of your daughters passed away before you, then the other daughter would own the property 100%, versus if you give them undivided interest like 50-50 or 60-40, if one of them passes away, then their interest would have to go through a probate in their estate. So that's an option for inheritance. Another option, which is often a preferred option, is you could set up a trust, a revocable trust, which is the type of trust we typically use for probate avoidance. It makes it so that your property can pass directly to your daughters without having to go through the long and expensive probate process. And what you can do here is, once you have this trust in place, you have the option of either transferring your property directly into the trust, or again using that Ladybird deed, which we love to use Ladybird deeds in our office, where you would remain the title owner during your lifetime, but rather than your daughters being the beneficiaries or the remainder men, it would be your trust. Again, the property would just go directly into your trust upon your passing. No need for probate. Sort of the benefits here of having it in the trust is, who knows at the time when this occurs, when the inheritance occurs at the time of your passing, if your daughters don't agree 100% on what to do with the home and they can't agree, it could turn into an ugly court battle and even require what's called a partition action in order for the property to be split up between the 2 of them and sold. So the nice thing about having the trust in place is you have a manager of the trust, the person who's called the trustee, and really they're able to make sure that the property gets sold and the proceeds get split evenly, if that's really the only way to work it out, or if there is the possibility of one of the beneficiaries living in it, they can help facilitate that scenario so that the other beneficiary gets bought out. But really the nice thing is you have this person whose job is to manage the asset for the benefit of both the beneficiaries. So it can oftentimes help to have this neutral third party who can assist and make sure what gets done is in the best interest of both beneficiaries. So then this example would serve what you would want to do if you have this in mind, meaning you want your daughters to inherit your property after you pass away. There's all sorts of other scenarios that could come into play here. I talked about in my video the scenario where maybe your daughters are living with you now and you want them added to the deed right away so you can all have homestead rights right away. We don't see this very often, but we do sometimes see it where it may be in that instance in the best interest of all of you to put them on the deed and all of you be joint tenants with rights of survivorship. But I really caution with this because I don't recommend doing that if it is just for inheritance purposes, meaning your daughters are not living with you, they are living somewhere else. I'll hear people say, oh, it's so much cheaper to just do a quitclaim deed, not even to do a trust or not do a ladybird deed. That could be the case, but there's all types of reasons that you don't want to just put your daughters on the deed with you as joint tenants if it's not suitable or right under the circumstance. And there's just a very limited amount of scenarios where that would really be the better option. So ultimately, it is best to get advice from a real estate attorney, an estate planning attorney before you make this decision, because it's really going to be dependent on what your specific goals are, what is going to be the best scenario for you. The important thing is you do have options, and there's usually a right option for you. So it's best to make sure that you give an attorney the full scenario so that you know what's available to you before deciding what you want to do. I will say this in closing, oftentimes if somebody does just want to make sure right away they have their property covered in case they pass away and it can go directly to their beneficiaries and not go through probate, ladybird deeds are a very affordable and easy way to get this in place, much like a TOD, transfer on death, or POD, payable on death account. A ladybird deed operates very similarly, and it's a great way to set up some probate avoidance quickly and pretty inexpensively. So I hope this answers your question, and if you have any other questions like this or anything at all having to do with estate planning or asset protection or Medicaid or probate and you're in Florida, please don't hesitate to contact our office at atCause Law, and the link is in my bio.